We live? Are we live?
Right, we got us,
I
Boone.
think
They
we're
got
live.
us.
We are live. Detroit Lions post-game show, Crunch Time Sports. Jeff Iafrate, Booner, Lukas Klotz, Mike Gentry. Hey, boys, Detroit Lions get a big win in overtime.
Yep.
Listen, I'll say this. I was not expecting an overtime win. This is what it's about, though. It is about grit. It's about going out there when things get tough. You find a way to win a football game, no matter what it is. And this is the NFL. This isn't college football. This isn't low major, high. This is the NFL, Klotzy.
Mm-hmm.
You go out there and you win the football game at hand. You know what makes me happy about this football game? And we'll get into everything, the details, all of that. We'll look at some videos and we'll get into the post-game conference.
What makes you happy about it, though, Boone?
That a football team that can go out there, and this is how I know you're a Super Bowl contender and you're a Super Bowl team. You can go out there and play tough, bad offensive game.
Yeah.
Secondary struggles, bad defensive game, and you still win a football game.
Yeah, you go out there and they just
still find a way.
They absolutely imposed their will on that last drive in overtime. I mean, they technically had a pass attempt to Jahmyr Gibbs there, but they damn near ran the ball every play because they knew that was their strength. In the third quarter on, they just got too cute. It looked like the offense was just out of rhythm. They were trying to get things going over the middle, but it just looked like between Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff and Sam Laporta, the connection just wasn't clicking. And then so you look at that and you're like, okay, we really need to improve on that. But to the point you just brought up, you were still able to overcome all of those things. That's probably going to be the worst offensive performance we see in a while for this team. I understand it's week one, but I really do not expect to see them look like that again all year. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'd have to see what his total yards were at the end of the game, but I would be willing to bet his career low. Sam Laporta, one of his more quiet games. But Jameson Williams, if Jameson Williams did not do what he does tonight, the Detroit Lions did not win this game.
Yeah, I'll say that, hey, this is one of those games, and again, I'm just going to keep going back to it in the post game today. This is one of those games where they should have lost. You should not win those games. As a contender and as a team that has a full – Dan Campbell said it earlier this week. He said, hey, we have three phases to this football team. If one phase is down, the other one steps up. Guess what? The biggest thing, two of the phases were down. Offense and defense. The special teams was the best unit.
Even special teams. Dennis Rakeshaw could have downed inside the 2-yard line and it ran in or that rolled into the end zone.
Yes. So that's where I do get to a point to where I'm happy with how this happened. I know it was tough. Like I had them winning 34-24. Thought it was going to be a big time game. Kelly Stafford, she can go back to LA. She should have never stayed. She should have known the end result. She should have known what happened. You know what? I'm soaked. I'm sticky.
You just had chill.
I just slammed some real American beer and we just drank the Kool-Aid. We could play the video in a little bit. I don't know if we can get the video up.
He's uploading it right
Juicy
now.
J, we can get that video up.
That was a great
one of your
all
time. All time. And you know what? It was worth it because we just went through an absolute battle to go get a win. We want to take some people in the chat as we go through this. We're going to be live for a little while here. As we're going through it, start dropping comments, questions, anything you have. I wish we could do callers. We're still working on that for the future. Maybe next Sunday we can get some callers in. If you guys want to leave a video or something to tag us in the video, do that on Twitter.
Your guys' reactions. If you guys want to send your reaction to this game and get a video of it, send it to our Twitter. We can obviously pull it up, play it on the show. But yeah, we definitely want to hear from you guys because there's a lot of good things to take away from this game and there's a lot of bad things to take away from this game. I think there's a lot of concerning things to break down. But at the end of the day, Lions are 1-0. They got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming in next week. And there's a lot of things they got to adjust to, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
So here we go. Let's pull this video up. This is a Kool-Aid video. The long-awaited Kool-Aid video. We are finally back. This is all I cared about at the end of the day today. All I could think about is I just want to do a Kool-Aid video again. I want to be back in action and back just like Dan Campbell. You have to be back.
Yeah, we're good.
Woo! Lions, baby! No worries in the world. This is the best team in all of football. I don't care what happened. I don't care anything. Matthew Stafford, go back to LA. Don't ever want to hear your name again. Where's the Kool-Aid at? We're drinking Kool-Aid. Jameson Williams, you're an absolute dog. David Montgomery, bulldozer. Let's drink the Kool-Aid and let's go get 17 more of these things in the Super Bowl, baby. Bang. Hey, we're finally back though. We are back. It is fully Detroit Lions season. It is football season. It is all. We were finally back.
When you smashed those beers, like half of it went on to you, and the other half went on to me. And
I'm wet here. This is stuff. Okay, you gotta lock in. We're pros here.
All
All
right.
We're talking. I'm soaked.
All right.
Every other word. Come on, Klotz.
All right, Boone.
No, the thing here I keep seeing in the chat too, just brand new lines. That was a brand new lines, and when we were doing our watch party, I saw a lot of people in there saying SOL, SOL, SOL.
Yeah,
like, I thought we got over that last year. I thought like that whole
making it to the NFC Championship game.
Yes.
I understand they did that with Barry, but then you look, everybody started leaving, like the key offensive linemen, the key defensive players. They started leaving. This whole team's back, including the coordinators. So the SOL. If you still believe that, I don't know what to tell you. I feel like we've said that a million times at this point, but the SOL is completely dead. You can see that this is just a different culture in Detroit. Everyone is bought in, from the head coach all the way down to the kicker that they just signed out of the UFL, and he's actually showing that he can be a legitimate NFL kicker, proving people like me who are very questionable about him. He comes in, first game ever, and sends the team into overtime. And I know it was a short kick, but still, those are the kicks that people like me were nervous about because of the pressure and the nerves on the line. So shout out Jake Bates for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, and I think the worries we can talk about, and I think things are going to change around. I don't think this is like a something you're going to be seeing from the Detroit Lions. I know a lot of people are like, there are a lot of football teams, and Jeff's over on the side there. We had talked about it last year after they lost the NFC Championship game. It's like, hey, can they get back there? A lot of teams go there once. You saw the Jags a while back go there and have this run, and they just never have even been close since. Like, oh, the Lions going to be that team. And then today, I think it's easy for people to be like, oh, maybe that was a fluke. It was not. I think the fact they pulled it out, and at the end of the day, this team's just going to keep getting better. Like, they're going to learn from this.
Right.
This will never happen again, what happened today. And the fact it came out with a win, I think it shows what this team is about at the end of the day. Jeff, at some point, I want to hear what your thoughts are just when it comes to just the end of the game, because Jeff was also, I think we were all a little worried down the stretch there. And as Lions fans, you don't want to be in that position. You're sitting there like, think about this. If the Rams win the coin toss, they didn't get the ball back. If the Rams win that coin toss, you're giving yourself a chance to where you might not even have a chance to win that football game. So you have to look earlier in the game and say, hey, what could we have done better? But the fact that Dan Campbell and this team was able to pull it together and just figure out a way to win the game. As bad as you're playing all game, we were sitting here stressing out, Jeff. I just want to hear your thoughts on the game as a whole, not just the win, but just the game as a whole, because it did feel like,
I think offensively ugly, but at the end when it mattered, you were able to run the football. Like, and when you go to overtime, and both teams have been playing, you're 4 quarters in, now you're in overtime, and who showed up? The offensive line, the run game. That's what I look at, like positives. I mean, negatives. The offense for most of the game was just a stalemate. They were at times it was disgusting. Whether you want to blame play calling or just not playing in the preseason, whatever the excuse was, at the end of the day, they won, and that's all that matters. You know how hard it is on a weekly basis. Say it all the time to win in this league, and they won, not playing their best. That, if you want to take something positive away, is a team that you look at as, hey, these guys can win the Super Bowl, and not that you want everyone to look like that. You'll take that against, I think, a very good Rams team, a team that I think will win their division out west.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams are going to be in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
And it seemed like, to your point, at the end of the game, like the Rams, how they were just dinking and dunking on the lines at will. They were just making sure that no matter what, Matthew Stafford was getting the ball now in under 3 seconds, and Cooper Kupp or one of those slot receivers were going to be in the flats. That's what it was like on the Lions' overtime drive. It's like, we're going to run. We're going to run. And there's still nothing you can do about it because this is the best offensive line in football. And I was when we were doing the watch party, I was like, look, I'm not saying that this is not the best offensive line in football, because it is. But there was a lot of moments in this opening game where you're like, what are we doing here? Like, this is a very good unit that should be dominating this front seven of the Los Angeles Rams. And at some points, the Los Angeles Rams front seven was having the best of this offensive line. But when that overtime quarter hit, I think it just woke up that whole entire offensive unit. They weren't getting cute with anything. They were just imposing the will all the way down the field.
I'm going to say this too, and I know this is after the game that we just saw. I do believe this, guys. This is the best football team in the NFL, and you're able to play that bad. And I know it's crazy because they played so bad on all three, and they played so bad. If you play that bad and you have all of those players you have, the Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't really show up. I don't think it's his fault. I think they just had a good game plan against him.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra doesn't show up. Sam Laporta quiet in the game. Jahmyr Gibbs at times until a little down the stretch, a little quieter in the game. When your best players are quiet in a game and you still find a way to go win a football game,
saying something,
that shows a lot, and that says a lot. Like, think about when these guys get going and that team starts to get going on all cylinders, this is going to be one of the scariest teams in all of football. And I think like people are at, oh, Booner, you're a slap. This isn't a slappy. This is just, hey, if I watch football and I said, hey, this team pulled this out and none of their guys performed up to that level, they're Pro Bowlers or all pro guys. Well, when that clicks, it's over.
Yeah, and you look at big games, like I'll even go back last year, and I know it's probably the most extreme example, but just to give an example, the Chiefs in the Super Bowl against the 49ers didn't play their best, but Mahomes made a couple plays when they needed him to.
Yep.
Travis Kelce caught a couple of balls when they needed him to, and it resulted them in winning the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So on a larger scale, when the Lions you do get in the playoffs, you're going to have a game like this where it's just fucking ugly. And you're like, oh, my gosh, boys. I mean, this offense looks bad. The defense is gassed. They take it to overtime. You need Jake Bates to make a clutch kick. He does that. Like, yes, the stakes will be higher, but at the end of the day, you'll take that every day. It was wonderful how it ended. I think it was, I picked 27-20. It was 26-20.
Close.
They didn't get a field goal at the end because of the overtime. Yeah. So you would have. I think that counts as a win for you.
But I'm happy the Lions were able to pull it out. That would have stung if they lost that game. Like, I don't give a damn. And they pulled it out against a team that was inferior with injuries. Yeah, they should.
And especially like on the defensive side of the ball, at least in the first half, I know they kind of fell apart secondary-wise in the second half, but the amount of trips that the Rams had in the red zone early on that led to 0 points or 3 points is what I really think held this team together later on that second half, because we talk about the Kirby Joseph interception, and they go for it on fourth down, and they can't convert there. If they do that, you're not playing in overtime. So shout out on the defense for the first, I would say probably 2.5 quarters, because they had that bend but don't break mentality. But then it just completely flipped on itself, and the Rams swung the momentum. Brian Johnson, the amount of missed tackles tonight, and Jeff, you were big on that. Mm-hmm. Way too many missed tackles. Like when you got next week, you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rashad White. They have Trey Benson coming into town, or not Trey Benson, Bucky Irving. That I think next week, I understand that the Rams, their wide receiver duo is probably one of the better ones in football, if not the best wide receiver duo in football. But the Buccaneers right now are healthier and just more of a complete team. So if you play like this again, there could be easily a different outcome next week.
Yeah, this is the thing, too. That I don't think this is a like the Dan Campbell coach team. This isn't like a back-to-back weeks thing.
Right.
You have the best offensive coordinator in the entire NFL, so this offense will get – like, think about it, guys. You needed a game-winning drive. As bad as that offense was at times throughout the game, you needed one game-winning drive, and Ben Johnson said, all right, let's do this, and put it together, and they went and scored a touchdown like this.
When they needed
with ease.
With Monty, man. That dude
took
them there.
Ease. Like, they figured
– and the offensive line,
Yes, like, it was like, hey, we haven't been clicking all game. All right, we need to go win. We need to go win the game. All right, they went and did it. I want to pull this up, too, because on the other side of the ball, I will stay firm on this. I thought the secondary struggled a bit. I will say that, and I don't know how you guys feel about it. I just think the defensive line was getting to Matthew Stafford and was forcing him to throw the ball quick and get the ball out of his hands, and the secondary was getting cut up. This guy, though, Glotzy, this is your guy, Alex Anzalone, player of the game,
as he should be.
13 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, and he dominated. Alex Anzalone, I thought Jack Campbell looked good at times. I thought the defensive line looked good at times. I just think
13
defensively,
tackles.
Yes, absolutely
3 tackles
insane.
for losses.
I mean, from the first play of the game, off the rip,
That's
he
insane.
absolutely decleated Kyron Williams and set the tone. Second play of the game, he's laying dudes out on the sideline like he was everywhere. I think Alex Anzalone, I mean, I understand that he's the older linebacker between him and Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell's going to be very good for the Lions. But Alex Anzalone, each year he's been in this defense under Aaron Glenn, he just got better and better and better, and you saw it right away for this team. Like, there was not many missed assignments by Alex Anzalone. He was by far – Aiden Hutchinson had a great game, but I think just by this game alone, and obviously player of the game, Alex Anzalone was the defensive MVP by far for this team.
Yeah.
What about the other? No, go on, bro.
I was say I do think like the Anzo stuff. You got to put it in perspective a little bit. Alex Anzalone from the jump was all over the field.
Yeah,
like there was guys that were struggling. Brian Branch missed a few tackles. Terrion Arnold had a couple flags on the play. Like some guys were struggling a little bit, even though they're big time playmakers. Kirby had the big play, but every single time there was a play to be made, Anzo was around it. And he stepped up every single time. He had 13 tackles. I bet you there were some that weren't counted as assists as well. Yeah. That he was out there, that he was involved in, and he made like down the stretch too. And they got the stop down the stretch too. Like and at the end of the game, they got the stretch, went the stop, got the ball back, and that's that defense. When it came down to it, you get the stop on defense to go force OT and get a Jake Bates kick. And then on offensively, you get the ball in OT, and the offense stepped up. So like you saw both sides step up.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, hey, we need a full game going forward. Like next week, Klotz, to your point, versus Tampa Bay, if you don't play a full game, that's gonna be a battle.
Well, I mean, how about you mentioned Anzalone on the defensive side of the ball? I'll bring up another guy on the other side of the ball, which Dan Campbell spoke about here, and I'll put the tweet so you guys can see. Shout out Nolan Bianchi put this out. Dan Campbell on Jameson Williams. He says he showed up. That was a big game, and the best part of it, he didn't even play his best ball. But it also
I love it.
But it also shows the work that he's put in. He keeps taking these steps.
I love that.
For Dan Campbell.
Guys, we've been Jeff.
He's on a mission.
The last 2 training camp practices that we were at and we went to, when we got there and we started watching JMO make plays, they weren't just like the plays, like the deep plays that we saw or the trick plays.
No, he was
catching guys or balls in the middle of the field in traffic. He was catching the ball in traffic and then making moves on the sideline. He was doing everything. And that was what we were trying to tell people. And I think we know some people who said, hey, Jamel's not going to be great. And said, no, listen, we saw him at training camp. We went to 6 practices. This guy was good. Like, all right, if it was 1 practice, I would have been like, maybe 6 practices. This guy was out there and he looked completely different. He looked like Alabama Jamo again. And if Dan Campbell's like, he didn't even play his best ball, and he just had 130 plus all-purpose yards and a touchdown.
This is a little scary. Like, think about it, because he had the run that we got scared on because he went down after, but it just looked like a stinger. Just he got banged up real quick. He had the mesh route where he kind of wanted to cut it outside, but ended up making that's a key play where Dan probably he didn't play his best ball. Like if he just cuts up the field there, he gets more yardage. But the most important thing that happened, and he scored off it, that the Lions were lacking last year, is he stretched the field vertically down the field outside the hashes. He absolutely cooked Tre'Davious White in man-to-man coverage, separated and made a play that ultimately what the Lions needed, because without Jameson Williams, we already said it, they don't win this game. If Jameson Williams doesn't step up, like Amon-Ra, he just, I think this was just a fluke game from Amon-Ra, and you needed a wide receiver too. Josh Reynolds, as much as we all liked him in Detroit, Josh Reynolds is not doing what Jameson Williams did for you tonight. Josh Reynolds is not spreading the field like Jameson does. And I just think you could see the effect that Jameson Williams has on a secondary, just how they stress, because later on in the game, when you have Jameson Williams on the field, the safeties are back. Okay, now here comes David Montgomery. We are running the ball every play, but you still have to respect the fact that Jameson Williams is there, because we can pull it back on a play action and air it out over your head. So Jameson Williams, he has to be the offensive MVP if it's not David Montgomery.
Oh, for sure.
You can't say enough good things about him. I mean, he's more of a complete wide receiver than people give him credit for. The route running, I mean, the double move to absolutely put Tre'Davious White on his ass. It was all impressive. And I loved it.
Saw this too. This is something we need to keep running the ball at him. I do think there is a sense, and I think I'm big on Jahmyr Gibbs, and I think he's got the talent to be Offensive Player of the Year. I think today you saw a little bit of how big of a piece D-Mon is.
Yeah,
like he is a piece in this offense that you have to have, and that was like what we talked about in the preseason.
He's a bell cow.
Yes, and you need him to set the tone. And if D-Mon's not going, and you're not using D-Mon, you're going to struggle. Like the offense isn't going to get in a rhythm. And I think Gibbs has the big play potential and ability, and he's going to go out there in games and give you 150, 200 all-purpose yards at times. But D-Mon has to be the one that you're like, hey. You saw it in the last possession. Like, hey, we're gonna lean on you here. We need to go win a football game. And he's like, yep, got you. And he's consistent. He's never gonna have negative losses. He's always going forward.
That Rams front seven, at that point, worn down.
Yeah, for sure.
Give the ball to Monty.
For sure.
Yeah, it's like
make him pay.
That's exactly why I said, like, I think today's a David Montgomery game, just because they are so weak. Like when you talk about a game like when we go into Houston against the Texans, that's a game where, in my opinion, that's got to be a Jahmyr Gibbs game. But when you're going up against a team that you know you're better than, you just got to impose your will on them, like Booner said. Like that last run that David Montgomery had before the touchdown run, where he dragged them for the extra 3 or 4 yards to put him at the 1 yard line, like that is huge in overtime, because now the Lions can just be like, all right, we're just running the ball here. We don't have to worry about a damn thing. So David Montgomery, like I said, offensive MVP or Jameson Williams, whichever one you want.
Yeah, I mean, you look forward ahead of the season, I guess, a little bit. Next week they got Tampa. That front seven, they always make it difficult to run the ball. If you guys remember last year, they couldn't essentially run the ball really at all.
Yeah.
Against the Bucs, I think that was on the road. And Jared Goff and Amon-Ra just absolutely took over the game. And then Craig Reynolds had an incredible block. J-Mo with a big catch. They lost CD 2-3 on the Lions. So secondary, they're at least at corner. The Lions, it's a good way to start your season. Better to be 1-0 than 0-1. You could be like the Bengals and lose to the Patriots, but Lions are in a good spot. Packers drop one. Jordan Love goes down.
Yeah.
Bears are 1-0.
And they really
but they shouldn't be. The Vikings are 1-0, and they played very well. So in terms of, let's look at big picture, right? One game, but NFC North, you needed that win.
Yeah, that was pivotal. Because right now, the NFC North is wide open outside of for the number 2 spot. Like Jordan Love's at least missing probably a month. So the Packers are going to be 2 to 3 games of what they normally would be. The Bears, I understand that Caleb Williams is a rookie, but I think the anticipation for the Bears being so good is that he was going to be good right now, and he's a rookie quarterback. He's going to struggle. That you saw that today on full display. I think with the Tennessee Titans, like if you watched how Will Levis played, it was just atrocious, especially in that second half. Like they sold that game. So when you talk about Chicago Bears playing a well-managed quarterback team, I think they're definitely going to struggle in those situations. But for right now, this is the Lions division to lose. I mean, this is a huge week 1 win because, again, this is going to be huge in playoff seeding because the Rams are going to get healthier. They're going to be better. They're going to be knocking off other teams in the NFC. So they might have not been as healthy, but you're definitely going to want this win when you look at how the NFC is going to play out down the road.
I'm gonna share this video here. Eric Woodyard. I'm gonna try and see if I can switch over to it for us, fellas, real quick. But Eric Woodyard just tweeted out a video on Jameson Williams, and I think it's Dan Campbell talking about JMO. I don't know if the people can hear it. We can't hear it, can we?
No, I already read the quote.
Okay, so I'll play it for the people, and if you guys want to throw it up there.
Yep, here's Dan Campbell. Per who? Eric Woodyard. All right, here it is.
Yeah, listen, expected him to play pretty good, to play better. And he showed up. I mean, that was a big game, to be able to catch some of these and go through it. And the best part of it was he didn't play his best ball. There's still so much to clean up. But it also shows the work that he's put in, and he is improving, and he's an improved player, and he wants it, man, and he keeps working on it, and he keeps taking these steps. So as long as he keeps doing it, and keeps making plays, he's just going to continue to get better. So yeah, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of where he's at, but he's got so much room to continue.
So, hey, Dan Campbell, I'm sorry to say this real quick, guys. Dan Campbell, he loves JMO.
Yeah, the guy, they all love. That's the thing. Like, of course they love JMO. They drafted the man. He's the only first-round wide receiver they have.
Yeah.
Like, that they drafted, the only one in Brad Holmes' history. He's never taken a first-round wide receiver besides Jameson freaking Williams. They want him to work in being injured and, the gambling stuff and just never really, now with Josh Reynolds there, he's just never had now he gets a full opportunity. Like, hey, you're the wide receiver too. He's earned it, by the way, which matters. All training camp, been consistent, number 2 wide receiver. And then he goes out and gets 100 plus yards from scrimmage, like 140, something like that.
Yeah,
big play of the game. He had the big touchdown that ended up being the difference.
So, yes. I mean, I think that answers the question as far as it doesn't mean he's going to be these type of players. But again, if you need to count on Jameson Williams to be a wide receiver too, like if A.J. Brown goes down for a game, can you rely on Devontae Smith to get you through a game? If Tyreek Hill goes down for a game, can you rely on Jalen Waddle to get you through a game? If Jamar Chase or T. Higgins go down for a game, can you rely on them? I think Jameson Williams proved tonight that you absolutely can. He's a legit wide receiver 2 in the NFL, and he showed you tonight that he can make the plays of a wide receiver 1. Booner says it all the time. I say it all the time. Jeff agrees with it. The ceiling for Jameson Williams is the highest out of any wide receiver in the skill room, or of the wide receiver room. Amon-Ra St. Brown is no doubt the better wide receiver, but there are some things that Amon-Ra St. Brown can't do that Jameson Williams can. Goes back the other way with Amon-Ra St. Brown. When you talk about explosive plays, Jameson Williams is that guy.
Yeah, I'll say this with JMO too. Like, you got to think the first year he comes in, he has the torn ACL, and he's coming off of an injury, correct? Mm-hmm. And the next year, you have the gambling injury, and he doesn't get that much time with the team. He always had the skill set. He always had it. We get in the argument with people who try and go at JMO, and their thing is, well, he hasn't showed us what he did at Alabama yet. He hasn't showed us what he did at. So let me get this straight real quick, guys. Those people who say that. So he can play, right? He did it at Alabama.
Yeah.
Yes.
He has the talent to do it. So what are we talking about? Now it's about going on the field and doing it. And I get the people where they're like, oh, we want to see it. Totally understand that. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have that talent. He can't do it. And I think tonight, I think Dan and these guys were like, hey, this kid's going to come along and he's going to keep coming and he's going. And then he's going to end up being an absolute star in this league. Right. And I think today you saw it. And I think once you get Amon-Ra St. Brown going and you have Amon-Ra St. Brown out there, because today he could have had a lot of opportunities. Amon-Ra St. Brown goes out there and gets 8-9 catches for 80 to 100 yards, and then you have Jameson Williams breaking plays off like that,
Yeah.
this offense will be the number one in the NFL. That's why I'm not too worried right now. Like, with
what's
the way
a
the
bad
offense
start?
was.
I mean, you
It's
ain't
a
gonna
tough
be number
start.
one with that. No,
it's a tough start, but you still, like, we look at it like this could be one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. You have an first team all-pro wide receiver in Amon-Ra, and then you have probably, outside of Tyreek Hill, one of the most other explosive wide receivers in the NFL now with J-Mo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, such a scary thing. And then it's not even getting into these other guys that we had. I do want to play this D-Mont. Dan Campbell talked about D-Mont, fellas. You guys want to listen to this?
Yeah. Let's hear D-Mont.
He had spoke about D-Mont. Let me get play.
After we ran the conditioning test, and whatever that was, July 26th, I guess, the day before we started our first practice, and he just, man, you talk about a guy who was in outstanding shape. Look, all of our guys were, but this guy just looked, he looked like he didn't break a sweat for this thing. And then the first few days of practice, he doesn't look fatigued. And so he's in unbelievable shape. He's worked extremely hard, and he's just, man, he's reliable. He's reliable. He runs heavy. He's tough. He's physical. He gets in a rhythm, and I think he's a catalyst for us. He starts carrying it, and he gets better and better. And I think the line feeds off of him, and he feeds off of them, and we get what we get. So,
yeah,
all right, can you guys hear anything? Did anyone hear any of that?
It was just low. We fixed it though.
All
but
right.
yeah, you have D-Mont. The guy is he's the cog in the engine on offense. That's as simple as that. And Dan Campbell understands that.
We learned a lot about David Montgomery today.
I think we were reminded.
Yeah,
we didn't learn anything. We were reminded. We talked about it before the game too. Like, this could have been a game where statistically doesn't match it, but remember primetime last year against the Packers.
Yep.
It was a David Montgomery game. He didn't have the 3 touchdowns like he did, but if they would have went to him in the third quarter, I think that's something else we should talk about. The third quarter woes of the Detroit Lions offense again appeared in week 1. They stopped giving the ball to David Montgomery. They just stopped running the ball completely. And when they needed to get the points, they gave it to David Montgomery. So I'll never understand why in the third quarter, it seems like they try to get away from that. It seems like they try to over-adjust. It's one of those things where just keep it simple. You're the best running team in the NFL. Don't go away from it, because if they keep the foot on the pedal in the run game like they did, you're probably not in the same situation.
No, it's going to be tough to stop them. It's as simple as that. We saw that on display, full display. Now we'll flip the other side of the ball, because I have an interesting quote here, and I just saw it come across my timeline. Ben Raven of let me make sure I get this correct. M Live, who reports for the Lions and
does a great job. Yeah,
he put this out on X. Terran Arnold says Cooper Kupp told him after his first game that he's, quote, one of those ones, end quote.
Because let's think about it. Terran Arnold, the 2 pass interference in the run zone, they hurt, but there wasn't a play where you would just watch Terran Arnold get cooked. It was like, that's what you expect when you're going up against Cooper Kupp. Who, when you talk about Cooper Kupp, he's not one of the guys who are overly athletic. He's not a A.J. Brown. He's not a Tyreek Hill. He's a guy that is just going to break you down fundamentally. He's going to look at what weakness you show and take advantage of that. When you're going up against a rookie, hand placement, drawing pass interferences, yeah, he's going to do that. But Terrion, again, the 2 pass interferences were there, but he also made some great open field tackles. He made some great plays against the pass. I think Terrion, you're not walking away like pounding your chest like that's a cornerback 1 right now. But he showed all the traits that you need. Like, he was not getting embarrassed. He did not look like Jeff Okudah out there tonight.
Yeah,
he did not.
I think that was one of the big things coming out of the draft, and we had talked about it all the time, and I think a lot of people had mentioned it, that don't look at Terrion Arnold as your corner 1 right now. Like, yeah, he got drafted in the top 25, and you expect him in the first round corner. Like, he's going to take time to develop. Dan Campbell said earlier this week, he's going to make mistakes. We saw it with the 2 flags. The flag that gave him a touchdown, and then the flag that gives him a field goal as well. So, like, you saw it, that was what, like, he's going to make mistakes. He's going to learn from them. And if Cooper Kupp, a guy like Cooper Kupp, who had 13 catches today and, 100 and something yards, like, a guy like him is going to come up to you and say, hey, you're one of those dudes. Like, you are going to be a dude in the NFL. Give it time.
That's all you need.
And he is going to be an all-pro corner at some point in this league. If you have one of the greatest wide receivers of all time in Cooper Kupp coming up to you and saying that to you, you're going to be you're going to be a dog. You're going to be good.
Whenever we talk about things post-game, I always try to remember what we said pre-game.
Yeah, not overreact.
Yes. What did we say out of Terran Arnold?
He's going to struggle.
He's going to make mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. We said he's going to have some mistakes. We hope it's going to be more positive light than negative light. And I think that's what we got tonight. So, boys, we got what we expected, essentially.
And you have the same thing next week, too. Because
Yeah.
you have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Mike Evans is one of those guys that could easily physically dominate Terrion Arnold just because, again, that's a first ballot Hall of Famer. The man's been in the NFL for 10 seasons, 10 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, and he had 2 touchdowns this week. Chris Godwin, he's kind of like one of those guys like Cooper Kupp. He's not overly athletic, but he's consistently going to point out your weaknesses. So Terrion Arnold, he's going to have one of the most, I would say, rough as far as matchup-wise stretch of 2 weeks of the season that you could possibly have, and it's going to make him better. Like, again, there's going to be points next week where he struggles, but there's also going to be points where he kind of makes a play, and that's what all you need to see. As long as he's making plays early on and just not being an absolute liability, that's what you're looking for, and I think he showed that tonight. Again, there's the pass interferences, but there's also some good spots.
No, you're spot on, and I think a lot of the people in the chat agree with you there.
And then, I want to just throw this out here too, because I saw some people just post. Jared Goff had his press conference, and they just posted a picture. Who was this that posted it? Nolan Bianchi. David Montgomery sitting front row in Jared Goff's press conference, just talking to him, saying, "Hey, good job, Jared." I think it is a close game. Like we sat here and we were like going at the team, like, "Hey, you should not be in this." This is a football team that loves each other. Like these guys, and I don't want to get like, okay, lovey-dovey here.
Mm-hmm.
This is a team that's like been together for 2 years now. Most of them for over 2 or 3 years. This thing's just gonna get figured out. Like, I don't know how else to say. Like, I'm not worried at all about the struggles that they had. Like, I mean, David Montgomery's sitting front row on the press conference and just giving support to Jared Goff.
Like, David Montgomery should be the one up there for real. David Montgomery should be the one to ask or getting the questions after the game.
Like, how often do you see that from teammates? You don't.
He bailed that offense out. Obviously, the offensive line too. Man. But I mean, like we said, like that the second or third to last run where they were at like the 8-yard line and he got him down to the 1, and because he dragged 3 or 4 guys there, like that's David Montgomery.
I mean, David is. You don't know how important he is, and I think that's why you used the term earlier, reminded. That's about what it was for me. I guess not as much. I mean, I know David, but man, I just to see it again. I think it's been a while.
Like on an overtime drive, they weren't up by 2 touchdowns.
No,
it was to win the game, and like the Rams called the time. The Lions went out there, I believe, like a 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2. Rams called a timeout because they knew it was going to David Montgomery. What do the Lions do? Give it to David Montgomery. Then, like, they just knew what was coming, and you couldn't stop it. That's what makes him valuable, because in between the tackles, he's so powerful, he's so balanced, but he also has explosiveness where he can get in between the hole and get up for a couple of yards.
The valuable thing about D-Mont is just every single. Look at this: 17 carries, 91 yards, 5.4 yards per carry. That's so valuable. Like, and the thing is like D-Mont, he's going to have 5.4 yards per carry for the whole season, every single game. And that's just who he is, and that's why you can trust him. Gibbs. I mean, Gibbs didn't have a bad game. He had 74 all-purpose yards still, and he had a touchdown, like, and a big-time touchdown too. I do want to. Can I say something, fellas? I do want to give credit to the defensive line tonight.
Yeah,
I want to give credit to those guys. I know they only had, I think, 2 sacks total. Marcus Davenport a half a sack. Levi a half a sack.
I don't know. I'm still disappointed in the defensive line.
I think you're
in the run game. They were really good.
I don't like to say
the run defense was great.
I don't want to say you're wrong, Jeff. I think they were getting Matthew Stafford to get the ball out the whole game.
I mean,
the whole game, and that's all you ask them to do. And if they're getting to Matthew Stafford and Stafford's having to force the ball out, at that point, it turns into the secondary. Like, hey, you have to be in your right. You have to be in the spots. If you're in the zone, like you cannot give up. And it felt like in Klotz, I mean, you've played corner. Like, I feel like that's something you have to be able to guard up to a point to where if the defensive line's forcing the ball out of the quarterback's hands, that's what you want. Like, obviously you want them to get home, but if Matthew Stafford, he's one of the best passers of all time in the NFL. He's going to get the ball out. You're not going to sack him 6-7 times. You're not going.
No, I know, but we expected 4 or 5.
We did,
but not that sacks are the only thing that matters.
We didn't take into account that it's Matthew Stafford, and like some of those passes he was making as he's getting hit, he's letting it go. It wasn't like it to me. It didn't feel like last year when last year you had 4 seconds to get to the ball and you're just not getting home. Tonight it felt like they were getting home with 2 seconds and forcing Stafford to make plays, and he made them. And the secondary was just open. Everything was open.
It just felt like they were a second or two too late. I
felt like the whole team did up until that overtime. Offensively and defensively. I think with the DBs too, what I think we got to take into account too is obviously they were getting killed in the flats, but that was probably by design.
Yeah.
Like you saw when the Rams started getting that lead in the second half, they were getting more deep shots down the field. Matthew Stafford was rolling out of the pocket, hit somebody down in the middle of the field for 15 yards. So while we were getting frustrated with all these dink and dunk passes, it eliminated them from getting the deep shots down the field. So I want to see next week how they plan, because I think just it was a rough start for the defense as a whole situationally. You bring in a similar opponent talent-wise on the outside with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, like we just talked about. See how they match up then. I think you could have a little bit of a different conversation, because I think with Kyron Williams and Rashad White, those are two different running backs you have to account for.
Right.
I think when you go against Tampa, you're going to focus on stopping the pass first before the run. So I'm a little concerned about the secondary, but I'm not panicking, because at the end of the day, guys, it's week 1.
Yeah,
like there's going to be struggles. There was a team that struggled around the whole NFL, like even the Eagles and the Packers. Like they both looked rough for a couple of stretches. The Eagles look like they're going to lose the game up until the end of the game, and that's kind of what happened with the Lions here.
And is that fair, Boone? If I bring because that's where Klotz was going, is I agree. Like the defensive line, two things. One, it's not a bunch of new guys. Davenport, yeah, he's new.
Yep.
But they're facing backups. At least the secondary, it's like, all right, until he wasn't there, Puka was there. Then he wasn't there. So I get when he left too. But at least you're like, well, a lot of those guys first time playing together. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
Like if you're playing against 4 backup offensive linemen, except for Jonah Jackson, I get they were getting to Stafford, but no, I mean,
to me, it's just more so like I'll go back and watch
timely plays. I get your point.
You could go back and watch. Like Hutch was getting home. He was not getting home because he wasn't getting sacked. He was
close. Yeah,
he had a game. And like last year, there was a lot of times where people would sit there and be like, "Oh, Hutch can get all the pressure he wants." He's just like, you can't say that about Hutch in this game. Like he was getting there, and almost every play he was getting held. He was getting double teamed. He was still getting to Stafford. He was forcing Stafford to get the ball out. He was hitting him after the play, putting pressure on him. That's where it's hard to me, and I might be on an island here because a lot of the people in the chat are saying the defensive line looked the same, no improvement. I felt differently. I felt like
maybe when DJ gets back, you'll see.
DJ, yeah, I just felt like Davenport looked really good. He was constantly getting pressure. Felt like Levi O played well, and he was constantly getting pressure. Aleem was a little quiet.
That's what I was about to say. I think that's the one impact that you felt Aiden Hutchinson. You felt his impact, like you just said. Marcus Davenport made some plays. Levi did, but Aleem McNeil, you really didn't hear anything from. And I think that's what the key to unlocking this defensive line is, especially when you don't have that book end and DJ Reader's out.
Right.
Like Aleem McNeil in games like that has to step up. He's got to, even if he's not coming away with a sack, he's got to create more pressure than he did already. On that first opening drive for the Rams, like they were getting interior pressure right now, and it got the 3-and-out right away. As the game went on, Stafford kind of made step here, and he was able to create a play and get the ball down the field. But Aleem McNeil, if he wants to get that bag, that Malcolm Adebuke money, he can't be playing like he did this week.
Yeah, maybe that's me though. The difference to me from last year to this year was just they were getting there a lot quicker, and typically you see quarterbacks just running around and having all day back there. Matthew Stafford, like I would love to see the average time of release time from him today, because I bet you it's one of the lower ones that you saw in the entire NFL all day.
But my problem is, would you say that's all? And I think it's partially both the 4 backup offensive linemen or the line. Like how do you weigh that? You know what I mean?
I think it was both. I just think like to me,
like it's hard. Like I want to see next week. What do they do against the Buccaneers? And that's when I think, and I don't think it's fair now to be like, oh, their defense line stinks. I'm not doing that. But I just thought, hey, we'll see next week against a healthy offensive line. We'll see what happens. If they get 4 sacks next week, Boone, we'll sit here and be like, you know what? We're good. They're fine. But it's worth the note.
It is.
At least the note.
And someone in the chat was asking how many yards the Rams running backs get. Kyron Williams
run defense gave the
stat that, and I said, hey, keep Kyron under 80 and you win. They're 7-1 when Kyron Williams goes over 80 yards last season. Kyron Williams 18 carries, 50 yards, 2.8 yards per carry. Ronnie Rivers 2 carries, 16 yards. Cooper Kupp 2 carries, 10 yards. Puka Nacua 1 carry, 7 yards.
And that's the Lions front 7. They're going to stop the run.
83 total yards given up.
That was Alex Anzalone.
That's
Anzo.
You had even guys like Aleem McNeil you knew at least in the run game he was there.
Yeah.
But that's not all you expect out of the guy.
I want to look at
but
this.
Their run defense was great.
I want to look at the run defense around the NFL, who had some of the best this year or this week so far.
The Bears probably.
Yeah, there's going to be some good ones, but the Lions are
says
in that
Bears
mix.
gave up 0. That just can't be right.
It probably still has to register.
There's a couple, but the Lions are sitting there at 83. There's a couple teams with 70s, but 83, I think last year they gave up. Let me check what last season was, but I feel like it's something
remember
similar.
the graphic that they pulled up of
88.
Kyron Williams before the game? He averaged 96.3 yards per game last year. And I mean, both in the wild card game and this game, they were able to limit him. So I think the Lions' run defense is going to pick up right where it left off, if not get even better, because you got to add DJ Reader.
Yeah, and that was with the starters. I mean, the Rams' offensive line. That was with the starters. They couldn't run the ball.
Last year, you ended with second in the league in rush defense, 88 yards a game. You gave up 83 today, so you're right back on track. You're right there. JMO, I don't plan on this being the best game of my career.
Doubling down.
Yeah, I don't plan on this being the best game.
I mean,
Adam's shit.
That's a boss-ass quote.
We need to get Adam's opinion on this pretty soon.
Yeah, I would. Too bad he can't talk sports.
Yeah,
but we're definitely going to troll him about it. And again, I think a lot of people had that question of can he handle that wide receiver 2 workload? Dude had 9 targets today.
Yeah,
remember we talked about targets? Guy got 9. He almost had double-digit targets.
Yeah.
And that's to me that's not, we're not talking wide receiver 2 workload. We're talking like
that's wide receiver 1.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like he had 9 targets. He caught 5, but a lot of it was the offense.
He was open on that near pick too that Goff almost threw.
Yeah.
And that's where he was going with it. But Jameson Williams easily could have had over 200 yards today.
Yeah.
I mean the confidence.
How about
J-Mo.
real quick? I want to mention this because I see the comment. Kirby Joseph with a huge pick today.
Massive.
Kirby Joseph.
They don't
when the field shrunk, Kirby was right there to make a play. I'm just saying, shout out to Kirby for what he did, because I know training camp with Iffy coming out the season he had. Kirby reminded everyone, people coming about his coverage, and Kirby's always getting burned. He showed you why he has to be on the field.
Felt like he
takes the ball away. And he did it right at the most.
Hey, and Brian Branch, honestly, I know he missed a couple tackles to start the game. He had multiple times for opportunities for picks.
Oh, dude.
Multiple times. And he was all over the field. Brian Branch, I think he's going to get back into things. Like, there's no way he misses those tackles like he did last or to start the game. He's going to end up being. I do think the secondary comes together. You see
the play. Like,
same thing with the D-line.
Carlton Davis dropping one. Brian Branch dropping one.
Yeah, like today,
they had opportunities.
It felt like defense as a whole, like there's a lot of potential. Like a lot.
I think so too.
A very lot of potential. And today there were struggles. Defensive line was getting there, and then the secondary was giving up some. Secondary was playing really well. The defensive line wasn't getting home. So I think there's a lot of room for growth on the defense. Once they get things going, the talent on the defense is what it's like.
I think this defense it's going to take
to the bye week. After the bye
what's
week,
the bye?
What's
the bye week?
Week 5.
Week
so you got 4
games.
You
travel down to Dallas, and then that's where you play CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, a one-dimensional offense that's going to be passing the rock the whole time. That's when that secondary can really click.
It's okay. I'm with that. I can get with that. 4 games, bye week, Dallas. Let's go time. I see in some comments here, Ubaldo Kirby. Ubaldo says in the chat, Kirby can now say to Stafford he is dirty because he did him dirty today. Easy says DJ Reader is a huge factor. Can't wait.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big. Because
he's just going to open up. I mean, again, another guy you have to at least double team. I mean,
yep. I do want to see. I saw this tweet here from Jeff Risden. He said total yards in week 1, Jameson Williams 134, which I think he had more. I think he had 140 something. All purpose.
Yeah.
Chicago Bears 148.
That's rough.
Caleb.
And
then Keenan got hurt too. Obviously, that's not something that.
But he was your second leading receiver. Yeah, and got hurt, and I think he stayed out and still was your second leading receiver. But that's wild. I mean, JMO at one point I put it out on Twitter and we were talking about he had half the Lions' offense, passing offense. Excuse me, or no, half the Lions' offense. He had 70% of the Lions' passing offense.
Yeah.
Total offense. I'm talking rushing and receiving. At one point, he had half. But yeah, he was on one today, JMO.
I want to pull up
incredible.
The box score here and see a couple things.
Another player, and John, appreciate you for reminding me. John says Amik played decent too. I thought you didn't hear his name. That was
a good sign though.
Another guy.
Carlton Davis quietly 10 total tackles here.
But you don't want him leading.
Yeah, I mean Cooper Kupp had 15 catches.
That's why he was tackling him all game.
No pass deflections from either one. No tackles for a loss. No pass breakups. Brian Branch, 3 pass deflections, 7 total tackles.
I mean,
1 tackle
Aiden
for
with
a
4
loss.
quarterback hits, though. I mean,
he was getting there. It's just Stafford's just 4
was
quarterback
like
hits, a tackle for a loss, and a sack.
It was like under 3 seconds. His release was damn near every time.
Yeah, if you go back in time,
But people talk about, those pressures don't matter. If you go back on that last 3rd down where he tried to hit Cooper Kupp and you just sailed it 2 feet over his head and he could have been running because it was man-to-man with Terry on. In the pass, didn't get there, and they had to punt the ball, and it led to a Jake Bates game-tying field goal. That goes into overtime, and you now win the game. So those pressures, they're not as well as sacks, but they do matter. They do have an impact on the game.
They absolutely do. Because it's stuff that you won't just see, like you said, on the stat sheet. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you see some of the plays. I mean, even guys that, I mean, we mentioned Aleem McNeil. Like, yeah, the sacks aren't there, but you saw his impact sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, and that's, I think, DJ Reed. That's what he does. You're not going to see him get a bunch of sacks, but
what's the timeline?
He's going to impact the game.
Well, and then what's the timeline? And 2 right here, Tyler Chevet in the chat. Pressures are overrated. I don't think they. I just think they are overrated. They don't matter. Pressures don't matter. I just think they're overrated. That's where I disagree.
I only hate when people use it as their main argument.
I agree.
Like, you can throw it in as like a little,
to Klotz's point, though,
sprinkle.
Hutch got a ton of pressures today. Changed the game. Changed the game at points. Like forcing Matthew Stafford to throw the ball away, throw the ball in bad coverage, all of that. Like, what are you talking about? You get pressure on the quarterback and make him throw an interception. You're telling me that's overrated? Just because you don't get the sack, but he throws a bad pass.
But I think Hutch would,
or he has to throw it away. What are we talking?
Hutch would even tell you, like, I got to get home on that.
For sure. But to say it's overrated and they don't matter, listen.
No, he said they do matter. He just rather have.
Oh,
okay. Think they are overrated
because some people,
Tyler,
and I'll even say it. I'll say it. You know what? And I love the man, Sam Flannel. Sometimes when we argue, he puts it in front of him like a cross, like performing like an exorcism. He's like, pressures, and again, I respect pressures. I think they matter. I don't think they should. I think people that discount them are wrong.
Yeah.
But you even agree, Boone, and we agree.
Yeah, I just
like
think
they matter, but you ultimately be like, man, if you could just bring the guy down.
I think it depends. It depends what's going on. Like, how does that pressure affect the game? Like, if you're just getting pressure and the guy's stepping up and then you're throwing it and he's getting like, but if you're getting pressure and the guy's having to get the ball out and he's throwing the ball away and you're losing a down on it and you're going from, on a 3rd and 10, you get pressure and Matthew Stafford has to throw the ball away and you're forcing a punt. Like, that's
it does matter. Yeah,
that's big.
The quarterback hits, he had 4. Those are big. You're letting them
huge.
Hey, you're just letting them know.
And that's probably not even counting the one that got a penpenalty on. So that's probably 5.
I'm gonna get you one of these times.
That's probably 5. Make sure you guys too in the chat here. Make sure we got 270 people. Hit like
real quick.
If you're not subscribed to the channel, we are live daily. Weekdays 8 to 10 p.m. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit the like button. We've got a lot of people. If everyone hits the like button, it pushes the show out to the algorithm. People should start dropping some things in the chat, questions or
well, CK, I see this. I'm so glad I don't have to watch Jeff get flowers for picking the Rams. No, I'm not. I switched up. Hey, 27-20 Lions because of the injuries, and I knew the game would be close though, boys. I mean, come on, we talked about this.
Yeah, and Buddy said here too. I wanted to bring this up. He said a lot of our receivers were falling down on the field before throws. Thought that was if the field was messed up. Yeah, JMO actually they asked him about it. And he said he thought the field was fine. He said the only reason he thinks that, like he said, he didn't slip at all. He was like, I didn't slip. I don't know what the problem was. He said, the only thing I can think of is we practice on normal grass. And that was the first time that a lot of those guys played on turf this year.
Yeah, like the Rams weren't really sliding anywhere for real.
No.
Like they weren't.
And I'm sure they practice on some turf.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So now
that on normal grass, yeah.
Yeah. And there was times too where like the Amon-Ra St. Brown one was almost an interception. He's wide open on a slant route and slips, and then he has to hit down on the interception. So there are some big time ones. What else do we have here? Keep dropping some questions. I wish we could take caller.
Josh Newman says Lions' lack of preseason reps definitely showed tonight.
Yeah.
Yes, true. I wouldn't use that as a sole excuse because last year I don't think they played in the preseason and they beat the Chiefs week 1 on the road.
Yeah.
Like how do you can't use it now that it's relevant, even though there is some truth to it. I get it. But I would say that was partially, you could say partially preseason. Like, I don't know. I don't see how Amon-Ra that it happens where he doesn't show up. Like, that's just not, it was just one of those games. Honestly, there's nothing else really to explain. It was just an absolute, barn burner of terrible offense until the OT. when they could
And
run
then
the
the
ball.
fact too, guys.
That was just kind of, and then shaky defense at times.
Yes, the fact though that I can't get over the team was able to play as bad as they did and still win.
That's
the
what
game.
matters, man. Yeah,
I don't even care
it's
who was
significant.
playing. I don't care if the Rams had their third string.
I don't give a
guys in.
fuck if they won 3-0.
Yes,
Yeah,
just
dub-
win the football
I
game.
don't give a shit. They're like 1, 2, 3, whatever.
You need to get the number 1 seed in the NFC. You need like 13 games.
Yeah.
You have 12 to 13 more to go. That's one of them. And that's all that matters. Like you can lose a game so quick. Look at some of the teams today. The Bengals losing to the Patriots. Like there are so many teams that just drop games randomly. Like, and you win these ones like at home with the crowd on your side going into overtime, and you can pull that off. Like it doesn't feel like a steal, but it feels like a steal a little bit because that was the game.
The Rams are supposed to win that game.
Yeah,
they had every right.
The Rams were probably the better team today, for being honest.
100%.
From quarters 1 to 4, they were probably the better team.
100%, they were the better team. Until the OT, and then they just whooped their ass. But you're right. All game, the Rams were in pretty much control. Well, the 14-point lead, then the Rams really took control.
Yes.
Up until that point, the Lions were.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. They didn't. They won a game they weren't supposed to. At least late, and they did it.
I wish the videos were working a little better here because Jared Goff spoke with the media.
You know what he said? You can read him off.
I'm not sure.
No.
This one he said this is him and JMO. It's a 12-second video. We can pull that up if we want.
Let me see. I'll let me go cue it up for you guys.
If you want to do it, yeah, because your volume and everything works a little bit better. Jared Goff, listen. Jared Goff just knows how to win football games. I know he struggled at times. Yeah, he struggled at times.
They showed that graphic. It was like 16 game-winning drives in OT or fourth quarter, and he just like walked out and he led one.
He was calm and composed though. Like he wasn't panicked.
Yeah.
The whole time. That's why I respect him. He didn't have the best game, but he still threw a touchdown. He did throw an interception, which was a tough throw. Great defensive play too. That interception. I didn't even think that. I thought they hit the ground, but that was a great play.
But let's hear from Goff. I got his quote on his connection with Jameson Williams. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, it's awesome. That little double move we had, kind of getting ready all week, and he smoked him on it and laid it out there for him. Made a great catch, and a couple big plays from him all night. He did a great job. Jamo? Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, there you have it. I mean, the guy, their connection, and you're seeing it now, especially with Jamo and Jared Goff. From when he got here to now, remember that was Jared overthrowing him. Jared, he's down the field, he hits him like
we saw that boy get loose today too. Ran for a first down.
Yes,
come on,
double
now.
move, gets open. That's all she wrote.
I
love it.
I'm interested to see what this connection goes like. What this looks like next week. Like again, the secondary is beat up secondary for the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Now next week. You're going up against a secondary of guys who have been in the Super Bowl. You played them twice last year. They've seen Jamo. Jamo's had big plays up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm interested to see the bounce back. Like, does he go out there? Imagine if he goes out there and gets another 100 plus
last
yards.
Last time he played the Bucs, what happened?
And that tutty.
Yeah, that
crucial tutty.
But and that was on. Was that on? No, that was on.
No, it was on one of the safeties.
Jamal Dean.
Nah, I forget his name.
He's good though. He might have been. It wasn't Antoine.
No,
but still, hey, you're about to find out. At least good safeties. I don't know who they got at corner. I don't know the Bucs corners. I'll tell you. I will this week when
they have Jamel Dean and some. I'd have to look.
Jamel Dean's good, but he'll be
on
the
field very good. I mean, they got some guys on that defense, especially that front seven.
Front seven is a problem. Yeah. So the Lions are going to get tested again offensively. We'll find that out.
Next week's big. Like this bounce back. Like, hey. Figure this out. You have to go in and figure this thing out here. You can't you have to go into this week and say, all right, where do we go wrong? What do we figure out? Especially on defense, going up against Mike Evans, Rashad White, Baker Mayfield. Like some of these guys, like this is a good offense you're going up against. Like this defense, like Jeff, to your point, coming at me a little bit with the defensive line, like they're gonna have to show up and show out next Sunday at home again. Yeah, you're at home, but like. It's going to be a completely different team than you saw today. Like this is going to be a full, healthy roster. And I do actually see here Kalaja Kancey was out.
Yeah, he was out.
So maybe he's out again next week.
But they're coming off a huge win. The confidence on that team.
Yeah, Antoine Winfield, Jordan Whitehead.
Trying to get their revenge on a team that beat them in the postseason.
So, yeah.
Derek Barnes. Baker probably plays that clip every night before he goes to bed. So they're going to be motivated. We talked about it, 2 playoff matchups to start the season, man. You get tested. You get tested early.
It's going to be big. It is going to be big. Let's see in the chat. Let's keep answering some questions.
Eric
here.
Ednan here. Eric Warren. Tampa has a rookie center and a rookie tackle.
It's true. That is true.
Graham Barton.
Yeah, but I mean the Rams, they had
4 backups,
yeah.
and they still hung in there.
Jackson
So this
is interesting. Tyler Chavez said, I think next week teams game plan JMO more. There'll be more safety help, which should open up Saint and Laporta next week. That's an interesting thing. I'm very interested to see. I'm going to St. Brown and Sam Laporta going forward.
Because they have a very similar style as far as where they get open. It's over the middle of the field. So when you're game planning for the lines, you're trying to take that away.
Right.
But then when you're doing that, you're leaving opportunities for Jameson Williams open. So they've got to find a way to counter it. But if you try to take away either Jameson Williams, you're going to have those 2 wide open. If you take away those 2, you're going to have Jameson Williams wide open like you did tonight. So it's going to be tough for any defense, regardless of who it is. If it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if it's the Cleveland Browns, or if it's the New Orleans Saints, it's going to be difficult to try to game plan for this defense or for this offense just because there's so many ways that they can kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, no question. Yeah, I'm reading some of these comments. Achilles, Baker Mayfield won't have the type of quick release that Stafford has.
That's where I'm at a little bit. But there is the other side of it but Baker Mayfield has a better offensive line right now. Will have a better offensive line than Matthew Stafford. So you might not get to him as quick and as easy. So I do get that point. I do agree though. Like Matthew Stafford's one of 3 guys in the NFL with the quick release and that can make the throws he makes. So that is
I will say he is a better quarterback than Baker.
No
doubt. But the I think that's the thing, and that was the point I was making is like, earlier in the week, and I went away from it because of the injuries. But the point was head coach and quarterback. Like when I look at Tampa, like Todd Bowles and Baker, even though Todd Bowles defensively, what he brings. I'm pretty sure they hired an offensive coordinator from the Rams. I'm pretty sure they brought someone in, but regardless, that's where to me it's AG. We're going to find out again here with these weapons they got.
That's my question.
The defense.
I was thinking about this earlier. When do you get to a point like if this defense, like especially in the pass game, like the run defense is great. When you get to a point with the pass defense, where you're like, hey, what's going on, AG? Like, is there like a week to where like what happened today?
I would say if they get torched next week, and then like Lucas said, if they get torched into the bye week, you're looking at it like you better have a no-fly zone in Dallas, or else everyone's upset.
And it's not that I'm like, oh, AG's got a guy. Like, I'm not even coming close to that.
You're just talking
in general.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like
hypothetically,
last season you had the issue with the secondary, and you couldn't figure out the pass defense, and then you get into this year, and you got the guys now. They went out and got you the players to do it, and I know some are young. You still have the talent to do it. If you sit here like what happened this week with Cooper Kupp, no Puka Nacua, but Cooper Kupp going off. And then you go into next week and say Mike Evans goes off and Chris Godwin.
He'll be facing a former teammate, Carlton.
Yeah, that's true. So like
he knows a lot about him.
Those guys are gonna like if they go off, then you're sitting and you're like, all right, are we gonna go through a whole nother season of just giving up big time numbers to wide receivers, or is this gonna get figured out?
It ain't gonna work.
Is it a scheme at this point? Like that's like last year, people got mad at me when I said, hey, it might be an AG scheme, and then he ended up switching and starting to get to the quarterback more, and maybe it was a scheme. It might today, I don't know. For me today, it was a little like, all right, this is something to keep an eye on because you cannot give up.
No. You
cannot keep giving up what you did today. And next week, you're going up against Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Like, those are 2 back-to-back weeks.
Baker Mayfield, baby. Trey Palmer.
The Baker's Baker can play. Like, this side of it. Look what he did in the playoffs last year.
He had a great game today.
Yeah, so, there's that side of it where you have to see what happens next week. And if they get torched again, then it's maybe a conversation like, hey, you need to switch something up. You need to figure something out here because you cannot keep having this week after week after week, especially after last year having that exact same thing. And now that you have the players, that's a problem.
Fat Rail Music says I'm more concerned with the missed tackles. Kupp had a lot of short routes that turned big because of the missed tackles.
Yeah, that goes back to the alignment thing where they were just trying to keep everything in front of them. I'd rather them miss tackles and be giving up 50-yard bombs like they were last year. Like there's at some point where it's just
Yeah.
It's going to happen, especially when you're playing guys like Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, who just after the catch are just lethal. Like, that's just what Cooper Kupp does. So it does suck. They do have to improve it. I'm not saying that. But I'd rather, like I said, they were just trying to defensively keep everything in front of them.
Yeah.
Let's see. Troy Davis, shout out to him. He says Rams had 49 pass attempts. I wouldn't consider that being torched with only 300 passing yards off of 49 attempts. They found a niche with the motioning in flats and slants, and that was it. They were essentially saying, yeah, we're just going to take everything you're giving us, which is, excuse me, when you're in zone coverage, we're going to take the flat.
Yeah.
We're going to take everything underneath. When you're in man coverage, which we'll find out because we motion like 80% of the time, we're going to find ways to get guys the ball that can make plays.
Yep.
You know, like they had Cooper, they had Whittington on a little handoff, like a jet sweep, whatever it was. Like they had to earn a lot of it, and they couldn't run the ball. So that's why we've talked about it earlier too. The defense, happy with the defense. I mean, at times they made mistakes. Yeah, secondary's new, defensive line a little shaky at times, but they put it together.
I don't like the fact that Sean McVay, like playing Sean McVay week 1, Sean McVay opened up some weaknesses, and other teams now can look and be like, all right, this is how to beat the Lions. This is how to beat this defense. Or you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what good coaches do.
It is. Were you about to say something?
No. I just want to hear you just talk more about it.
Sean McVay is one of the best offensive minds in all of football. Him, Andy Reid, Ben Johnson.
No, that's a good win, dude. Like what the Lions just did. That's a well-coached team, veteran quarterback. I don't give a shit. I mean, it's still the same quarterback and head coach they won a Super Bowl with. Even though it's a younger roster.
It's an up-and-coming roster. This is a roster. Everyone's saying that they're going to compete for. How many people picked the Rams to win their division?
Well, I did. I don't know if a ton of people did, but it was a couple people. There were people that were doing it.
I saw a lot of people in national media, and I know they were down some of the offensive line, but it's to me, it's still like, hey, that this is a good gritty win.
Yeah,
and I'm sure Dan Campbell's going to talk about it, and he probably already did tonight. Hey, we have a lot of things to work on. Hey. We have a lot of things to work on, fellas. So we need to figure this out. All right, man.
All good.
We have a lot of things to work on.
Lock in, be gritty.
So they're gonna have a big week ahead. A big week to prepare. I can't wait till next Sunday. I cannot wait.
No, and that's the thing. I'm excited for next week. I know you guys are. We drank. I mean, pretty much all of our Real American beer here, which you guys can purchase locally near you, sponsor of the show and of the channel. Let's see, Tyler, if we could play D like we did the first 2 quarters next week, we'll be Tampa.
Guys, the first 2 quarters was great. I know it was Brendo break, but they got stopped.
14-3 at one point.
Yeah, it was 10-3 at halftime. 10-3 at halftime. You're sitting there in one half. You only gave up a field goal, and you had the interception.
Or 17-3. Sorry.
Yeah, like you 17-3, and they ended up almost winning. That was a problem. Like, but you were. It shows like, hey, this is a good. You can still win football games here. That was where it was like a little positive to me, to where it's like, dude, if you play the first 2 quarters, that was unbelievable defense by them.
All right, let's see. Yeah, the people I see you guys commenting. I'm going through the comments now. Fat Rail Music says, surprised the refs missed that trip call on Hutch.
My gosh.
Oh yeah, that was bad. That was brutal.
That was tough. There's a lot of calls that they missed on Hutch. A bunch of calls.
Yeah, that was kind of a
lots of
thing.
lots
it just
of
seems
holding.
like it's an every year thing with Hutch. It's just like they're missing calls all the time. Buddy says, I thought Stafford was hurt. He was limping a lot. Man,
he's always limping. The man limps all the time.
Dude just whines. Like
Goff
was literally getting the same treatment, but he just wasn't complaining and whining. Like Stafford just annoys me, bro. He's ornery. Great talent. I'm not saying he's not a good football player, but he's just annoying to watch. He complains. He flops. He just he tries to get every call possible, and then has the nerve to call people like Kirby Joseph a dirty football player. Like, relax, dude. Relax.
Well, Mike says Booner need the Kool-Aid chug.
Kool-Aid chug is out. I'll go to our
Instagram.
Go
check on all socials.
Yeah, it's the people are responding to it. Kool-Aid chug is live. It's out there. It's in the ether.
Go check it
It's
out.
on everything. So is your JMO dance.
JMO, yeah, I did. I did the
complicated.
JMO dance. I didn't. It was an in the moment thing. Shout out JMO.
It was a one-time
In the
thing. It was a one-time.
I got
thing.
excited a little bit. And JMO's got some good dances though. I did say,
He
you know, it's
does.
crazy before the game. I did bring up. I said, hey, there's no way we go through Sunday Night Football and not see an Amon-Ra St. Brown dance. Got to see a JMO one.
Dude.
I can't confirm real quickly. I just saw a tweet. Carlton, let me see. No, Colton Pouncey, who does a great job covering the Detroit Lions for The Athletic, tweeted out that Carlton Davis, he saw him in the locker room. He told Colton that he just got the wind knocked out of him.
Okay.
Gotcha.
No injury.
That's good.
He's on the ground. He's probably
Especially
more
for next week.
Yeah. Wind knocked out of him. Probably pissed off. He dropped the pick, but he's okay. So JMO's okay. Carlton's okay. It's good news. Team left healthy. I mean,
Yeah.
That's all that
for the most
matters.
part. For the most part.
Do
Oh.
we have any more here, mailbag or any questions or anything here? Buddy said, "Do it now, Booner." I already did it. I'm soaked over here.
Yeah, I mean, he smells like
He
Kool-Aid.
smells like beer.
Beer and Kool-Aid, man. The beer ones, man. Those are,
That's a man right there. Beer and Kool-Aid.
Beer and Kool-Aid. It was I enjoy that beer. The beer thing too. It went everywhere. I couldn't see. I was blind. If you guys go watch the video, I'm blinded. I could not see a thing after it. I was like trying to move my eyes to see to grab the
You
Kool-Aid.
just get lost in the moment. Like,
Hey,
you know, it's like a lifestyle. It's not, you know what I mean? That's just it's became who you are.
I hope there's let's see if we go 17-0, 18, 19, 20, 20 total of 20. Hope I get to do 20 plus this year.
Hey, I will say
That's
this. Tyler pointed this out. 1-0 and tied with Philly. I mean, hey, you're 1-0 before the 49ers. All right.
Yeah.
See what they do.
1-0. 49ers play tomorrow night, right?
Yeah,
They do.
Yeah.
They play the
The
Jets.
Jets.
Is that
Ooh,
at
what a
home or
Monday
on the
night
road?
game.
It's at home.
What a
Of
Monday
course
night
it is.
game.
So the Jets have to travel. That's going to be a great game.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great game. I could see that game being like a 2017 win too, like an
Mhm.
ugly ass game. And it puts the more pressure on them to start off good.
Yeah.
At least you're tied with Philly getting an ugly win in Brazil.
The only player, Lions PR tweeted this out, the only Lions player in history to rush for a game-winning touchdown in an overtime game.
That's kind of wild.
David Montgomery. So not a lot of overtime games. That is big time from him. David Montgomery is also the third Lions player to produce 70-plus rushing yards and a touchdown in consecutive season opening games. David Montgomery, guys, last year, unbelievable.
Yep.
Mhm.
Unbelievable. Here's another one. Anza. I love these things, and the Detroit Lions PR put stuff out. It's the best. Since tackles for a losses became official and recorded in 1994, only one Lions player has produced 10 tackles plus and 3 tackles for a loss in the season opening game.
That's it.
Anzo.
Anzalone, man.
Alex
him.
Anzalone.
The guy's just everywhere. I mean, every play. Oh, Anzalone. Tackle,
Rose
Anzalone.
made plays. He was flying around the field today.
Yeah.
I think this was JMO's first 100-yard game in his career. I don't think all-purpose too. I don't think he's ever gone over 100 yards.
In the NFL, he hasn't. No way.
Annis Rakestraw with the brace on his left hand. It looks like the doc had tweeted out. Shout out at Detroit Podcast. He said he looked after the game and said he was all right. So he
The
should
doc
be
this
all right.
week is going to be electric.
Yeah, Wednesday night. I cannot wait to talk to the doc.
It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a great one.
This Dan Campbell quote tonight. Dan Campbell said about Matthew Stafford, it's almost like you don't want to hit him because when you hit him, he plays better.
That's such a Dan quote.
It feels like that is Stafford. Like
Yeah.
he uses the hits to get into his head and motivate himself to kind of
Like he plays like it's like fight or flight.
yeah.
Like he gets like adrenaline. He's just out here
He just gets that mindset.
absolutely dialed in. Yeah, there's a lot of lies. I mean, that's the thing that happens for teams that you play in prime time and you come out with a win like that.
You're just like, fuck.
It's good PR. Dude.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about the Lions right now, even
Yeah.
if they played like fucking shit
It's going to be a conversation, I feel like, though.
until overtime. But that everyone, I mean, that's all. Yeah, you know, Antonio Brown tweeting out Dan Campbell post game meal. And it's Elmo snorting cocaine through $1. I mean, it's just like a toy Elmo snorting cocaine through $1. I mean, this is the type of shit you're seeing right now on social media. Like this is great.
Oh man.
Let's see here. Shout out ETN, Rams fan in the chat, taking the L like a man. He says Stafford is easily the best quarterback in the NFC.
Yeah, it's hard to deny after this week, especially how Jordan Love getting banged up. Jalen Hurts didn't look rough. We haven't seen Brock Purdy yet, but Kirk Cousins looked terrible. Dak Prescott. Jared Goff didn't look too good either today. He didn't look terrible. He didn't look great. I think it's hard to dispute that Stafford's the best quarterback in the NFC right now.
Buddy said, I thought Bates was going to miss that kick before OT.
No, I thought he was going to make it. It was too close to miss, but I just think the nerves.
If he missed that, just cut him now.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding, actually. But I would have been like, no way. Be patient with him, but you're missing, a 30-yard or whatever it was. Get the hell out of here. No way.
Shout out Jake Bates, man.
Shout out.
Yeah, he was
ice in his veins, man.
His lips were quivering. It was like quivering.
I don't care how
sideline.
I don't care how close it was. Jake Bates, you make those kicks, especially on 1 to force OT. And what did we say when we went and watched him at Ford Field? You guys were like, well, what happens when he gets all the 70,000 people in attendance? Saw it tonight.
Yeah, he just did that.
Saw it tonight. I don't care if it was 20 yards,
and it was
yards
to tie the fucking game.
Yep. I don't know what Kirby's tweeting about, but he just said, "Keep me out your mentions."
Shout out Stafford.
Oh, that's what he was talking about. Okay.
Yeah, shout out Stafford.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Shout out Kirby, man. What a game for him. Is there anything else in the chat here from the people?
Let's see. I see 64,000 in attendance officially.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
That's wild. I mean, guys, don't forget. I mean, if you're new here, I gotta just plug it again. Tomorrow we're going to be live. Like we're gonna be breaking it all down. Tomorrow, actually, not just tomorrow, Boone. The rest of the week, and then we do this next week. And then next week, and then next week, and then next week.
8 to 10 p.m., baby.
So
drinking the Kool-Aid.
8 to 10 p.m. We'll be live. Will be videos posted throughout the day. So subscribe and turn those notifications on, because then you get alerted when we post.
Yes, sir.
And then follow us on all social media platforms. Just don't forget. Do not forget. Anakin says, yeah, Bates took the pressure in Ford Field like a man. I mean, he was. Josh Newman says, how's Real American Beer? Well, we had
gone.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much, it's done. These cans are, we got one can, which is, it's going to be the, for someone's, you take it home and have a shower beer or some shit. But they're all pretty much, the boys, we killed them.
You got us right.
Yeah, we were there on Saturday in Ann Arbor doing that, and then we get to do this Lions win in Real American. Next week, I think, too, I think on Sunday, and I don't know where the people are, I think we are going to be at the Red Ox. The Red Ox in Auburn Hills, I believe, is the location. We'll be there next Sunday for the Lions game. Pre-game, probably, what time's the game? 1 o'clock?
Yeah.
Pre-game, probably 11 o'clock, 10:30. And then we'll do our watch stream and a post game after that. So make sure you guys come next Sunday if you're watching right now. Come hang out at the Red Ox to watch the game.
Yes,
we'll be live the whole time. Shout out those guys there, Real American Beer. It's going to be a good time. Any last thoughts in the chat? Any last thoughts?
Sue Yu says, get Adam on for Lions post game. No,
cannot.
Love Adam. I could talk to him as a brother, but can't talk sports. All right. We're right. You guys are the best, man. I mean, we had a blast today. I mean, we did the pregame. You guys were there. We did the watch party. You guys were there. We did the postgame. You guys are here, and we're there. So thank you to everyone, and thanks for being loyal with us and hanging with us. We're trying to continue. Honestly, guys, and we got to acknowledge this. Our first ever Lions, at least regular season coverage. We had a full day of streams. First time ever. We've ever done it.
Yep.
We did the draft. See, it sounds like we've done these no, that was the first time we've ever done this. And it was a great, great night. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. Tomorrow, like I said, we'll be live, talking more, going in more depth about it. We'll get some sleep, and we'll be back in the AM, so be ready.
Real quick. Are we back in the morning?
Ready.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Should we go live in the morning? What time?
Just look out for a time. It's going to be in the morning.
Probably 8 a.m.
How about this? Follow us on social media. Turn the notifications on.
Yeah,
you'll find out.
We'll find out. All right,
or turn it on YouTube. You'll find out.
1-0. The Booner Path. We're on our way.
There you
Let's
go.
go. Super Bowl incoming.
One Kool-Aid
We'll
chug
see you
down.
guys in the morning.
16 more to go. We'll see you. More than that, actually.
Peace.
Deuces.